Once again, welcome to our webinar says Dual in Drupal 8. We had small issues in the last session, so we sorted it out. As said in last session by me, Unity Solutions is a software development company with specialization in Drupal development services. And being one of the pioneers in India to adopt Drupal, we are very happy to cherish our journey with Drupal through this webinar series. And today's session is by Mr. Girish on data migration in Drupal using migration module. So Girish has work experience in Drupal for past 3 years, and he worked on different multilingual and multi-domain enterprise applications. So Girish, we welcome you again, and please continue with your presentation.
Hi all. So today we can have a session about migration of JSON data using Drupal's migration module. So by end of this session, we'll come to know about what is migration, benefits of using migration module in Drupal, and supported platforms, formats, and data types, and methods of performing migration in Drupal, as well as how it is implemented in Drupal using migration module. So what is migration? Migration is nothing about moving of data from one place to another place. So in order to achieve that, we need to know about its source and destination. Once it is known, we can move the data from one place to another. So Drupal's migration model, what it does. Once we cleared with what is source and destination, we can start moving the data. For example, people move from one place to another. In order to moving from one place to another, they use some mediums, say transport. Likewise, in Drupal migration, if you want to migrate data from various platforms to Drupal, we have a module called migration, which will be act as a medium. So benefits of using Drupal migration model. So that is, we can customize our code as per the requirement we need. And if we want to move a large scale of data, we can achieve it through it using Drush in Drupal. Then ease of tracking migration status. If a migration process is proceeding on, we can know about the status, how it is. Likewise, we say that how many data are migrated, how much data gets failed, so easily it can be tracked through migration status in migration module. So supported platforms and formats. So transferring data from one platform to another platform. It also supports various platforms like WordPress, Joomla, Jojo, etc. So in migration, we can have a different formats which can be imported into Drupal. We say Oracle, XML, MySQL, as well as a JSON format. So in this session, we can have JSON formats to migrate into Drupal, which is exported data from various platforms. So supported data, what are the data can be migrated into Drupal? We say that users can be migrated, notes can be migrated, as well as terms and tags. So data in the format, we can have various types, say example, text formats or HTML attributes, or files like images and videos in various formats, which can be migrated from various platforms into Drupal. So in order to achieve this, we have to use certain modules and its dependency modules. We say that migrate module, migrate UA, migrate extras media. This migrate extras and extra medias, which can be used for migrating images and videos, files, likewise, etc. What are the methods we can follow for the migration using migration module? We can achieve it in two ways. We can do it from web interface and also through Drush commands. So how it can be implemented in Drupal? So let's see the process, how it goes. So in order to do that, we need to write a custom module. We can have info file, module file, and also includes folder. So what does the info file has? What does the module file is? What does that include folder? Let's see. So in the info file, we need to define its dependencies. We say that migrate, as it is dependency of migrate, we have to point the migrate. Also entity reference, nothing but relations, entity relations, we are going to map it. So we need a dependency of entity reference module, as well as files we create in the includes folder. Say example, authors, pictures, peoples, all the content types we are going to proceed on. We are going to define it in that includes folder, and further we're going to implement a coding part in that. So let's say at one by one. So what does a module file contain? In order to write a module file which it supports migrate, so that we have to register a few classes in our module. For that purpose, we use hook migrate API. So we can register our classes from this API, and through the class which we created, we can use for extending this module. So you see in this class, we can extend migrations to define our codes and our functionalities. Then we have to write function hook disabled. So once migration is completed, we have to do deregistration, such that when migration completed, we have to disable the migration modules. So when migration is done, in backend, certain tables are created. So once deleted or uninstalled the module, that certain source IDs and destination IDs which is present in database table will get vanished. So when that data vanish, it should not affect its data which is present in Drupal data. So we have to write migration, deregistration, migration, this process, hook disabled. So this is the purpose of writing hook migrate API and hook disabled. This is for registering and deregistering classes in the migration process. So as I said in previous slide, we have defined a class called AB author migration. So using that class, registered class, we used to extend this migration. So when extending this migration, we can have three functions inside that. Say for example, constructing, that is for mapping of data from source JSON to Drupal. So certain mappings will be defined in that parent construct area. And also prepare row function, which can be customized from the JSON file. Some data we need of customization or some modification, so that can be done in this prepare row. Then function complete. Once node is completed, after that we need some certain changes. So those changes can be done in complete function. We can write our own code in our complete function, and we can achieve it migration. So once it is done, we have to map the fields into Drupal. So migrate source JSON. So this is the function we use to read JSON file, and its unique ID, say author ID, and this dot fields is a function we pass fields. Then destination, say for we have a lot of content types in Drupal. For example, if you want to migrate a author or an article, so we have to define a machine name there in order to get mapped, so that we can map it easily from JSON to Drupal's content type. As well as we need to pass author ID, which will be a unique one, which contains, which does not replicate duplicate contents over there. So from this mapping, it will get two tables generated in backend, say a migrate table, and another one is migrate message table. In migrate table, it has source and destination IDs. Source is from this JSON file, and destination which is created in Drupal. So this is what in mapping happens to a particular content type. Likewise, we can achieve it for users, terms. Likewise, we can proceed on. So how the mapping or get in that public consent function. So in order to map a simple field, we say this add field mapping, title and name. This title will be a Drupal's destination name, and name is from JSON file. So this is a simple field mapping, and if you want to map its relations, we can use these types of formats. We have to define source migration. If you want to map gallery relations, we say first of all we have to migrate AB gallery source class. It means gallery contents get migrated first, and then it gets mapped to this field called field gallery relation. So this field gallery relation, as I said before earlier, it will be a Drupal field, and gallery ID will be from JSON file. So we have to use certain handlers in order to relate entity reference relations field. So that is migrate entity reference field handler. So there's a lot of handlers to be used. This is a few examples that I would like to share here. So this is how entity relations get mapped into Drupal from its source JSON. Then how to create terms on the fly of migration. Say field article context will be a Drupal field. So article context will be passed in a JSON. So on the fly of migration, if you want to create a terms, it gets mapped over here in this format. Say field article context passed by create term. Default value will be true. When this type is passed, will the default term items get migrated into Drupal field in the name of term reference. Then also in the migration, there is stuff we have to retain URLs, which will be used for in SEO. There should not be any loss over there for SEO search engines. So if you want to retain URLs, we have to go for path auto, making it by default as 0. When it is made default as 0, and we pass a URL, actual URL, source URL into this path value, the source URLs get retained into the Drupal field. So for example, if you're migrating an author, it has some pattern, say author's name / something, we have a certain patterns. So that patterns will be passed in the URL. So when it is passed, it gets migrated. So this is how mapping fields is done in public consent function. Then after implementing those customization model, we can see a web interface for migrating it. So this is a web interface in the screen it's showing now. So it will show a list of classes generated there and data. For example, total rows contain how many objects are created. It means how many data are read from JSON. And also it will give a status, how much has been imported, how much has been unimported, and if we have any messages, it will show in the messages. So what are the time taken, what is the date it has been done. So all the details will be shown in this interface. So in migration model, we have certain actions. We say that import, update, import and rollback, stop, and reset option. What does the import do? Actually means it will import all the unimported data, as well as it will check for any updates of records is that present. If it is present, if it is updated records needs to be updated, means we can go for import. So it will get import with unimported data, as well as it get updates with existing data. So update is nothing but it's an update query. If this source data is already present in a database, it will check whether the source is there. If it is there, it will update with certain data which has been imported again. And import and rollback. So import is nothing but, I said earlier, it will get imported. Rollback is nothing but deleting all the Drupal objects. For example, if you migrate on 10 data, if you roll back it, all the 10 data will get deleted. So that's the purpose of rollback. And then we move for stop. Suppose we are migrating lakhs of content in a web. In case we need to stop the process, so we can go for stop operation. So that's the use of stop action in migration interface. And then reset option. Reset option is nothing but in case of failure of stop option, if you go for reset option, it will reset all the options. So those are the actions available in the migration module from interface. So how the interface looks like. If you go for importing data, so how much data has been processed, it will show how much data is created and how many data are updated and then failed. The status will be shown here, as well as the time taken will be shown here, as well as if it is go for update, we have, it will show like 126 records are update, or what are the total count we need an update, it will show the status over here. So this will be a process taken in migration interface. This is what looks like in migration interface. So as I said earlier, when migration takes place, by default it will create two tables. One is storing its source ID, destination ID, and it will give the data which is need to be updated, what are the data has been rolled back, what is the data lost imported. So it will show a clear structured manner which can be easily tracked over here, so that we can aware of any failures and we can proceed on to handle that failure objects, so on. As well as it will create one more table as a message table in case we are facing any errors. So those errors are tracked in a separate table in the format of migrate message followed by that class name. So we have that ID, source ID and destination ID. It will give a message, what are the messages, failure messages passed. It will show, it will record it in the database table, so that we can aware of any failures, messages, so can easily debug and fix it. So migration tables will give a clear structure to take over it. So as I said before, we can use it in a Drush also. So we have migration supports various Drush commands, which we done in the interface. We can also proceed with Drush commands. So these are the few Drush commands I have shown an example for you for importing, update, stop, rollback status. So these commands can be run in a shell interface. For the purpose of using Drush is, in case of small records we have to migrate, small database records we have to, small amount of records we want to migrate, means we can use web interface as I shown in the previous slides. So it can be faster and it can be migrated easily in case of small records. But when we go for a large amount of records, say 1 lakh, 2 lakhs, more than that, we can't able to achieve it from web interface because the site goes down, maybe some failures, timeout error, likewise we face some errors. So in order to overcome that, we use Drush commands, so which will be helpful to migrate large scale of data easily. So any queries?
You can ask Ravin any questions if you have. Anyone, any questions?
Hello.
Yeah, who is this?
My name is Praveen.
Okay.
So I'm having one doubt in this.
Yes.
Uh, you have shown all the slides with the JSON format, right? If I use,
Praveen, your voice is quite low. Can you
yeah,
adjust your, yeah,
it's okay right now.
yeah, it's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah, I have seen all the slides that which are using for JSON format. So if I was trying to use in XML, is this the same format or is there any change?
Definitely there will be changes in code which we have to proceed on. So the slides which I have shared you is based on JSON formats which can be achieved. So JSON formats will be differ from XML formats, right? So accordingly we have to do some changes in our code level and then we have to proceed on that.
Sorry, can you repeat that again?
Hello, can you hear me, Praveen?
Yeah, we can hear you, Girish. Just repeat whatever you said right now.
Okay. So the slides which I have shared you is based on a JSON formats. The code also which I have explained you is about all about a JSON format, how it can be read. So JSON format will be different from XML, right? So accordingly, we have to do some changes in code level for reading that XML files.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any more doubts? Okay. Thank you, Ish. Thank you for this presentation, and participants, thank you for joining us. Our next session will be by Karthik on deploying Drupal in AWS for scalability and high availability. You can check out website unitysolutions.com for full details. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you all.